I've come on this show now for several years and talked about smaller government and why smaller government is a good thing, and job opportunities and education. And there was an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal this last week, and it tied in directly to some of the articles you'd seen, some of the discussion going on about elected officials having jobs with the state. So you have the Senate Pro Tem, Tony DeLuca, the leader of the Senate, the third most powerful elected position in the state of Delaware, who took a job after getting all that power in the Department of Labor. So he takes up a Department of Labor job, and because he is a state legislator, an elected official, that means that certain federal dollars can't go through the Department of Labor, and so the state of Delaware actually lost federal dollars and has not been able to do some discrimination overseeing as a result of Tony DeLuca's position. So here's a guy, gets elected, gets a lot of power, takes a job, and it hurts the state. And there are a dozen members of the General Assembly in Dover who have state jobs, taken a job from somebody else. But what I think is important to note is in Delaware, there are more people with state or government jobs. And I don't mean to cast aspersion to some of our hardworking state and local government employees, because many of them are extremely hardworking. But like in any profession, there are some that work harder than others. But so this isn't a cast aspersion at government employees, because I know many of them and they're great people. But when you have more people who work for government than work in retail trade, so that when you walk into the store and you see somebody behind the register and somebody stocking shelves, there is another employee standing there, and that's a government employee that person has to pay for. And you wonder why we have the budget problems we do. We know the city of Wilmington is running $3 million operating deficits year in and year out and keeps raising taxes, chasing businesses out of the city. We know that Newcastle County is running $10 million worth of operating deficits every year, raising property taxes 55% over the last few years, chasing businesses out of the county and out of the state. And we know the state of Delaware, that if it weren't the corporate capital of the world, would also be running significant operating deficits. And the business community is still struggling in Delaware. But the article in the Wall Street Journal, and I'm going to read some brief excerpts from it just to lay the foundation. But today in America, there are nearly twice as many people working for the government than in all of manufacturing across the country. There are 22.5 million government workers and only 11.5 million manufacturing workers. And think about this, for all those folks that in the 60s, 70s, 80s had good paying jobs with Chrysler, with GM, Delaware City, DuPont, those jobs are gone and they've been replaced with government jobs. And the problem is that we can see the city running deficits, the county running deficits, and the state having problems, is that the government doesn't make money. It just takes money made from somebody else. And if there's nobody else making money, eventually the government goes bankrupt. And that's what's starting to happen in Delaware. When you have more people in government than work in stores. Even in Michigan, at one time the auto capital of the world, or Pennsylvania, the steel capital of the world, there are more government workers than people who make things. Once again, government is the largest industry, and government doesn't make anything of value. It's a safety net. It makes sure the roads are good, the trains run on time, things like that, but it doesn't create wealth. I know of 3 or 4 different cases in the city of Wilmington where folks are trying to start businesses, but because of a vacant house, the vacant housing fee, they're unable to actually get started because they owe the city more money than the property is worth or that they can raise to turn around and start a business. So a law that was started with good intention to try to get rid of absentee landlords has now turned into a yoke around the neck of small entrepreneurs and small business people. I know some folks trying to start the Elks on the Brandywine over in another part of the city, and because of vacant housing fees keep running up into the inability to get started, and they've got a line on a small manufacturer of beauty products who wants to come into the city of Wilmington, wants to bring 30 or 40 manufacturing jobs, but they can't get it all together because the city is in the way. And these are the things that are stopping the economy from going forward, stopping job growth, and part of the reason why the city of Wilmington has 20, 30, 40% unemployment. So after all that good news and my little soapbox as to why it's important for government to get out of the way and why it's important for government to let people make money with their stuff, with their house, with their building, with their car, it is stopping the growth and the opportunity that should be there for everybody. So our educational system isn't any good, and our job opportunities. And this is government policy.